Right. Welcome, seriously, welcome to a John Legg fragrance review. We're not actually going to review one fragrance. In fact, we're not going to review any fragrances. We're going to review a house. Mancera Paris. All right. So let me put this situation to you. You know this is right. You go somewhere and you go into the room and you smell, oh, Savage, and then you smell, oh, Paco Rabanne 1 million, oh, Invictus, oh, Diesel. And you know what? As you go through that room, you get repeat, because the average guy kind of wears mainstream. All right, something which is okay, readily available. 9 times out of 10, it's pretty much a crowd pleaser, and 9 times out of 10, it's a reasonably affordable price. The average guy wears mainstream. Let me help you to be different, because I love different. Yes, I love my mainstreams. I've got all the mainstream ones and I wear them and I get good reactions from them. But there's one particular house, it's called Mancera Paris. Let me talk to you about Mancera Paris, because I'm probably their #1 fan. Okay. With Mancera Paris, you always get a very different kind of smell. Now, I don't mean different to other Manceras, I mean different to mainstream. They are kind of wacky, they're different, they're off the beaten track, and they're just not mainstream sort of smells, okay? The second thing you get with Mancera is they are all, when I say Mancera, I'm sort of generalising across the range. Manceras are, generally speaking, a good, solid performance. You know, I've got some Manceras which will casually just do all day. I've got some which will sort of do 6 hours. I've got some which will do 8 hours. But generally speaking, they are solid performers. Not many of them are big, loud, screamy projectors, but they all set up a nice, comfortable, sort of half arm's length scent bubble around you, and they last minimum 6 hours, maximum sort of 12 hours on my skin, some of them. And certainly the following day, they're always a skin scent the following day, and you get it on clothes. Trust me, I'll tell you some story about getting Manceras on clothes in a bit. The other thing about Manceras is, yes, okay, you may, certainly here in the UK, you can't go to Boots, you can't go to Superdrug, you can't go to anywhere on the high street that just sells them readily available. Seriously, in the UK, we have to pretty much rely on the old internet. And on the internet, you've got sort of 3 big players. You've got All Beauty, they sell some. You've got Notino UK, they sell some. And Selfridges online, they sell some. But what you tend to find, and I'm going to say there's probably sort of 50, maybe 55 fragrances in the Mancera range. What you tend to find is that All Beauty will just have a small collection. Notino's will have another small collection, and say, what's the other one? I can't remember. That sell it, that have another collection, right? Not any of those shops sell the entire range. Now, I believe there's a store in Paris, the boutique, Mancera Boutique, which I guess sells every single one. But let me try and explain to you why you would wear a Mancera. I'm going to give you some positives, some massive positives. I'm also going to give you the sort of possible downsides to some of the Manceras. Right, price-wise, you always get a choice. You get a 120ml and you get a 60ml. And let's just show you roughly what you get when you get a Mancera. They always come in a sort of oblong sort of box. Inside the box, you always get what they call a travel pouch, okay, which is sort of slightly protection if you're going to travel with it. And then the bottle. It's always a nice cylindrical bottle. Some of them have magnetic caps, some of them have screw caps, okay, and you always get the label down the front and a little bit of blurb on the bottom. We're not bothered about packaging, we don't talk about that, but that's what you get when you get a Mancera, okay. So, 120ml normally has a recommended retail price of around about 130 to 150 pounds. 60ml, I've never priced a 60ml because I don't bother with the 60mls. I always say, if you like the fragrance, if you're going to take that plunge, go for the 120 ml. What I will say to you is that the 9 times out of 10, these are on offer. Maybe not the entire range on offer, maybe just some of the range in a clearance or in a seasonal offer or something, and you will probably get 20, 25, 30, 35, or sometimes half price offers with free delivery and all that sort of stuff. So bide your time with the Mancera. I don't think, honestly, hand on heart, wherever it is, I don't think you have to spend the full £150. Wait for an offer. Okay. So they're different. They're strong performers. They will set you apart from the crowd. Because if you take my advice, when you go to that room, to that place, and you smell all the Savages and the 1 millions and the diesels and all that sort of thing that are repeated across that room, there's hopefully only one guy in that room who is smelling like you do. And if you take my advice, it will be you, because you'll have purchased a Mancera. Okay. Manceras are different, but they're not particularly that different from each other. Okay? What I will say to you is Mancera, they all use the same array of notes, and I guess it's all the same brain of the perfumer behind them. Okay? And it's a little bit like a graphic equalizer, and what they'll do is they'll just tweak one note up a smidge, one note down a smidge, and one note up a smidge, and that will be a new fragrance. So what you tend to find that, say for example, velvet vanilla, which is a building block, okay, the oily vanilla in that is also the same vanilla in wild candy, is also the same vanilla in wild cherry. Okay, and you tend to get to the point where your nose goes, I recognise that as a Mancera. Okay, you may not exactly be able to pick out exactly which Mancera it is, but they are all very Mancera. I hope that makes sense. Now, I will warn you that the majority of Manceras are marketed as unisex. There's just a tiny collection which is for women only, and there's a tiny collection which is for men only, but generally speaking, the majority of their range is unisex. Now, a lot of people, for example, Velvet Vanilla, when I spray that, they just go, it's a woman's fragrance, Leggy. It's woman's. But I said, well, listen, just let it sink in. Deal with the first section of the fragrance, and then you will have definitely something which is unisex. You know what? They call it unisex for a reason. Okay. Now, I fully appreciate that the majority of guys, when you smell the first 20 minutes or half an hour of a Mancera, you'll probably just turn away and go, no, it's far too feminine. It leans definitely too feminine. It's not masculine enough for a fragrance for a guy. All right, I always say, deal with the first 20 minutes to half an hour, and then you will understand it. Mancera isn't particularly loved at first sniff. This is the other downside to Mancera. And let's do it. Let's do it with wild cherry. This is too much almost in terms of performance. Right. Okay. You get this weird syrupy mess. Even me, for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, even me, I'm thinking, what have I done? What have I put on my skin? And you'd say to me, Leggy, why would you wear something where you've got to deal with that initial sort of weird chemical sort of mess? Right, trust me. Let the Mancera settle down. Give it maybe half hour, and you'll smell it again, and you'll suddenly go, I understand it. And because of the way these are crafted, these are sort of work of a real intelligent perfumer. Because of the way they are crafted, the notes, they play around with your nose. And 1 minute the vanilla's at the top, next minute the oud is at the top. So for example, oud vanilla. That is literally a battle in a bottle. You've got the sweetness of the vanilla, and you've got the sort of slight darkness of the oud, and it's like a punch-up. That's a very typical Mancera in terms of the way there's two major notes in the bottle, and they are fighting to get the sort of dominant note. But you know what? wear it and you'll understand what happens in that one. Okay, so be prepared for a weird, chemical, very off-putting mess for the first 20 to 30 minutes. Deal with that. In fact, don't go close up to your Mancera for the first 20 minutes to half an hour. Okay. And then you'll get something which goes through phases. You know, a lot of the time, say for example, something like, I don't know, 1 million, you spray it and it's pretty much what it starts is pretty much how it ends. These Manceras, and here's a beautiful example. Sandalwood, right? This one, oh man, get your nose on this one, you will not regret it. This one goes through about 3 or 4 different phases where the oud is prominent and then the fruits are prominent and then the sort of musk is prominent. And this one, you know, I've come to the conclusion that a good fragrance, it should entertain you, it should grab your attention, it should hold your attention, and you should want to constantly smell it. And the good thing about Manceras is because they last for so long, you can constantly smell it. All right. Quite often, people will smell it and they won't particularly comment on it, but you can tell that they've smelt it because you can see them thinking. It's not the same as a mainstream smell. Okay? I've got another one here. Now, wild candy. Guys, I will warn you, this leans heavily, heavily feminine. And when I sprayed it for a female, she went, "Oh, that's nice, Leggy. I'd wear that myself." I said, "What about a guy?" And she went, "Nah, no, a guy couldn't wear this." I persevered because this is sold as unisex, wild candy. All right. Now, I fully appreciate the majority of guys would just scrub it off and say, "No, no, no, this is for a woman." She, the same female who said, "No, it's not for a guy," smelt that on me and she rated it. And you know what? It kind of works. These things are made and called unisex for a really good reason. It's because they are. And I've come to the conclusion, if you like the smell, if it worked good on your skin, then blow the fact that it's, you know, leans feminine, blow the fact that some people may go, you know what, it kind of doesn't smell right on you. Enjoy it. Quite often, okay, I'll be really honest, quite often you are wearing a Mancera for you, not for anyone else. These are not crowd pleasers. People will appreciate them on you, but generally speaking, you are wearing it because you rate that fragrance. Okay. Red tobacco. Okay, put your nose on that legend. That's one of the few Manceras that is loud. It's a little bit screamy. It's a little bit like a room filler sort of thing. The majority of them are not. The majority of them are just sort of pleasant, sort of scent bubble scents, if you like. Whereas red tobacco, that's a powerhouse. Another one here, black vanilla. And I will warn you, you can't always go by the names, all right? Black vanilla. Now, I bought this thinking it's going to be a mysterious, dark, smoky vanilla one. This is possibly one of the sweetest vanillas I've ever smelt. You've got some beautiful sort of vanilla note, and you've got there's other fruity and floral notes playing around there. Once again, first half hour, this is completely feminine. Deal with it and then move on with the fragrance, and you will, trust me, you will enjoy it. Instant Crush. Okay, that obviously, I say obviously, this is kind of like a copy of the amazing Baccarat 540. But what can I tell you? It's kind of, for me, better because it's way cheaper than the original Baccarat 540. But it is also better because the vanilla note in here takes it in a slightly different direction. Yes, for the first half hour, and trust me, do not go anywhere near this. This will actually harm your nose if you smell it up close within the first half hour. It's that sharp and it's that woody and it's that powerful. Do not smell Instant Crush up close. Give it at least half an hour to die down. All right, it will go pretty much all day, Instant Crush, but don't go close up to it. You will actually hurt your nose on this one. But you know what? After about an hour, this one goes a little bit different direction to Baccarat 540 because the vanilla, and nobody does vanilla like Mancera because the vanilla takes it in a slightly different direction. The only Mancera I've got which doesn't do a massive amount for me is Oud Blue Notes. the performance is kind of on my skin. It's average to okay, right? All the others I've got are just unbelievable belters. So what can I tell you? I would say try a Mancera. Places like Notino's, they'll do samples. They'll do like a little vial that you can try it. I would say deal with the Mancera leaning feminine, okay? Because it will not stay feminine. The majority of them do eventually turn unisex. And expect amazing performance and you will not be disappointed. So hopefully, if you've got Manceras in your collection, you've probably been nodding all the way through this, probably be going, Leggy, you're right, you've nailed it. That is all about Mancera because it's different. It's not mainstream, it's different in an amazing way, okay? So I suggest that you get one, maybe two, maybe three, don't ask me how many I've got, in Manceras into your collection because they'll always set you apart from the crowd. And you know what? That's a good thing. If you would consider a thumbs up, if you would consider a subscription, or even drop me a comment, say, Leggy, you're right about Mancera, or question me about Mancera, whatever you want to do, I appreciate that, and I really do appreciate you watching this video. So stay safe, spray fragrance every day, make sure it's Mancera as well, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.